Welcome back to Austin Lakes Race Cars. We're back here today to talk about something. It's called NASCAR 26. This is my wish list of the things that I'd like to see in the game. Supposedly tonight, as of me recording this, it's Thursday before San Diego. This cover of the game is supposed to be released. I've made my own beautiful rendition here by adding Mustache to Blaney and changing the 5 to a 6. I think that's all they need to do. Really, no, I don't think that's what they'll do. I don't know. I don't know who will be on the cover this year. I don't know if they're going to still try and go one from each manufacturer, or maybe they're going to go one from each level. Like maybe they have like a truck, Xfinity, or sorry, O'Reilly, and a Cup. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is, but we'll find out tonight, supposedly. But this is what I want to see in the game, having played a portion of the career mode and some online and stuff. But mostly, like, I play the games for career mode. That's why I play them. So, online's okay. I don't care one way or another about online. But this is that. This is what I want to see in NASCAR 26. Let's go. Oh, I've also done, just for you, like a high school level slideshow. So you know what I see, and you can see a visual of it, too. It's not just me talking at you. There's visuals happening. Like, first things first. I like NASCAR 25. Good job. They did a good job with the first game, I think. There's definitely a lot of things that can be added to the game still, but I think for a first attempt for iRacing coming in and making a game after we'd had Ignition, which I've still played maybe 3 races in total because it was so bad, and then like the Heat games, which just became the same game over and over again, just updated a little bit. It was a good start. I really like the racing in it. I like the career mode. I think there's a lot of room to improve it. But it's a really good start. It's a good job iRacing. First off, for starting, well, you didn't flop it right off the bat and have to try and recover in a way. There you go. Ryan Blaney's giving you a thumbs up. This is the first thing I'd like to see. Part-time or secondary sponsors. I think one of the things that can be expanded in the career mode that adds to more of the management and more of the, like, every career can be different kind of idea is the addition of more sponsors. Like right now, you get a sponsor, you race with that sponsor until you get a new offer. If you complete the finish at whatever place in this next race, you get that new sponsor. But there's not a lot of kind of different things that you do, and you can change the paint scheme up a little bit here and there with your sponsor, but you're not really managing much there, I don't think. The idea that you sign sponsors for maybe an amount of races or like something like that, having more than one sponsor too. Like if you get your main sponsor, maybe the main sponsor stays with what it is now. You have to race to a certain point to get that sponsor, but you can have secondary sponsors. Maybe you like sell the rear quarter panel gets a sponsor, or the back bumper gets a sponsor, and maybe that is something different. Maybe that's they have an incentive goal that's different than just race here. Maybe it's make so many passes, or maybe I don't know. Adding secondary sponsors, I think, would be cool to add more things. It gives you more of a chance here to use the paint booth more. Because right now, I feel like I'm maybe not the best example because I've never been a big paint booth person. But right now, I think I make a paint scheme for whatever sponsor I have, and I run that paint scheme until I get a new sponsor. And then I change the paint scheme and I run that. But if you could have something like this, helps you manage the team. Already said that. But like this is just from this year. These are 3 Ryan Blaney paint schemes. You got Peak on one, you got Dent Wizard on one. I don't know what the other one is, but sometimes he runs like Wabash is in there too. Just the idea that you can have multiple schemes for multiple sponsors, and even maybe you have like a main sponsor that's on the car for 25 races, and then you have other sponsors that get 2 or 3 races here and there. It just adds to the extra management of the team. If we're going in and we're going to be managing a team, this is an extra way to add some management in it. And it's a big thing in NASCAR. Sponsorship is a huge thing. Everybody, around the world even thinks about NASCAR as the place where there's just sponsors plastered on everything. Keep it going in the game. Next up, one of the few things that's not going to be like career mode driven for what I want to see is just computer driver improvements. I think right now in the game, they have their ratings and they have their like what they're good at. Like some people are better at road courses, some people are better at short track, stuff like that. And I think that almost has become almost like a ones and zeros. Like, you see William Sawalich and Brennan Queen at the front in all the ARCA races. You see Corey Heim and Kyle Busch and Lane Riggs at the front of all the truck races. You see the same people racing for the same spots every time, And it's weird because you look back at past seasons sometimes. I know plenty of people have posted about this where they look back at past like truck seasons and stuff. And like Frankie Muniz is winning the championship. I think in my career, Matt Mills won the championship the year before we went into trucks. I don't think I've seen Matt Mills run in the top 10 in 2 seasons in trucks. So, I mean, it's the same guys, and it makes it hard, for, like, feeling like you have a chance sometimes, especially in ARCA, where it's Sawalich is winning 90% of the races. It feels like if you have one bad race, there's no way to beat the guy in the championship, because he doesn't have a fault. He doesn't ever run lower than, like, 3rd place half the time. I think I've seen him finish 6th once or twice. Hard to beat a guy that never finishes outside the top 5. As NASCAR. Got Tyler Reddick and Denny Hamlin right now doing it. But hot and cold days was an idea that could be cool, that I believe was in at least NASCAR Heat 5, maybe 4 as well. I don't know that it has to be so, like, oh my god, Sawalich is having a cold day, he's running at 24th. That seems excessive. But just the idea that, like, occasionally, William Sawalich, Corey Heim, Lane Riggs, whoever you're racing, whatever season or series you're racing in, the guys that are way up at the top, every once in a while, maybe they qualify in 15th. Or maybe they start the race and they get bumped up or something. They go way to the back or something. Just that idea that there might be a chance that you can beat somebody. The idea that I go through qualifying, I'm in this fight with Sawalich to win this championship, and I qualify 5th, and I look and I go, he qualified 15th. And then I'm running. I'm hearing the Jaws music behind me. Here comes Sawalich through the field, and I gotta go. I gotta get going. That adds to it when now it's a lot of, I'm just chasing Sawalich. I'm chasing Sawalich. I'm chasing it. And you just never feel like you can get the upper hand sometimes. That's the one thing, hot and cold days. Or even like I said, Frankie Muniz might win a championship. Maybe you just see Frankie one day running the top 10 randomly. That'd be cool. Or somebody just qualifies way out of position up front. You're kind of rooting for them as you're blowing by them because they're definitely not as fast as you. Next up would be the mistakes and crashes. That's another way to add the hot and cold days in there. Maybe we'll go Corey Heim this time. We're in the Truck Series. Corey Heim is winning everything in the Truck Series in this particular game. Not necessarily 26, because he won't be in the Truck Series as much in 26, even though he's still not in the Truck Series and winning everything. But just the idea that maybe you go into turn 1 that first time, and like I said, he slides up the track and he gets moved back in the pack, or you're running around and not even Heim, maybe Riggs makes a mistake, but takes Heim out with him. It'd be cool to see that extra stuff going down. And then maybe something like a rival system. I know, again, it was in the Heat games. I just don't know that it was necessarily good in the Heat games ever. I feel like it was kind of to the extreme a lot of times in the Heat games where you make a rival and then if you're on the straights, they're trying to push you into the wall. If you're in the corner, they're trying to push you down to the apron. That was it. There was no negotiation with them to be like, hey, maybe don't be as pissed at me, let me apologize or something. There was you could apologize to their I hate you tweets or whatever, but it wasn't really there wasn't as much going on there where you could kind of negotiate a little bit and be like, well, you pushed me off, or I pushed you off, or hey, that's my bad. and it would kind of affect that. And they also, like, I feel like in those games, you hit them a few times to make them your rival, and then them hitting you continued to keep them being your rival. So there was just kind of almost no way to unrival somebody. I feel like that would be something to look at. The other thing is more strategies. I feel like you go into a race, and I think maybe, was that even NASCAR 25? I don't know if that was NASCAR 25, but maybe once or twice I've seen guys where, like, they'll try and stretch a stint, or they'll come in early. I think it'd be cool to see. It's hard in stage racing for some of them, like, and so you get, like, between ARCA and Cup, the Truck and Xfinity stage racing kind of hurts strategy in a way, because the stages are so short that a lot of times you don't necessarily have to pit in them. So there's not much strategy that can be played out there, which sucks, but that's just an NASCAR thing. But in ARCA, when you're running with no stages, you're running a full thing, or in Cup when the stages are longer and you might have to pit during a stage, it'd be cool to see people trying to stretch it, people running out of tires, people, running slower so they don't run out of tires, and just seeing a little more strategy going on that can change the racing. I know we had it in Heat 2, we had the Xfinity hot seat at Iowa, where, like, some people went longer than others, and there was some weird cautions that caused some, like, two different strategies going on. And there was this 20 laps towards the end of me panicking because I came in and I should have cycled back to the front through pit stops, but it never happened for me for a while, and I was going, oh, did I screw this up? Like, how are people making it? And it was a whole thing where it added to the race because I was confused about trying to figure out the strategy the whole time. Here's an example on the bottom here of, this is the idea of a mistake. Keselowski pushes it deep. I can't tell, is it the 42 he hit or the 45? Whoever he hit there, 42. But that's the example of, like, a little mistake the AI could make. Locking up into a corner, sliding into somebody else. Just adds a little bit of extra craziness. And then there's I think that's a Heat 5 rival system thing. Maybe not exactly like that. Maybe do something better, but just a thought. We go to, next up, better cautions and multi-car wrecks. This is kind of adding on to that last idea of, I am so tired of seeing random one-car spins. You're driving along, and you just see Grant Infinger in front of you just go up into the wall. Then you go, well, there's a caution. Or you're ripping down into the corner, and off in the distance, you just see, I don't know, Jankowiak just whoop up into the wall, and there's not really any. It's just one guy spinning out. I mean, that's like maybe half to 2/3 of the actual crashes in NASCAR. I feel like are like a tire goes down or a guy spins out. But generally, like, guys are wrecking because they're running in. It maybe not even half is one car, but guys are running into each other, and that's where the wrecks are coming from. It's not a thing in NASCAR 25. You just watch one guy loop it, and then you go to caution. Even a debris caution, I would honestly take sometimes in the game, where you don't necessarily have to have cars crashing into each other. If you just throw a caution randomly in the race, and the spotter comes on and goes, there's debris in turn 4 or something. I mean, maybe make it make sense where cars get into each other, there's debris. But it just, again, it adds to the strategy of the race. It adds to the, there's times in NASCAR races where you're going, I've been able to stay out longer than these guys, and I've got this big lead. If I can just hold on to it, I just don't want to see a caution. And that caution comes out, and you go, shit, like, we had it, then it goes away. Or even the opposite, where, like, a guy has just beat you on strategy, and you're going, I just need a caution. And they say debris in turn 4. Caution flies, and you're going, let's go, come on, and then you're just trying to get to that restart. You're trying to beat. Like, that adds to a race, I think. So even if it's just a debris caution to throw, I don't know what I just did, to throw out there, I'm happy with that. Just have the spotter say something, throw a caution. The big one. I think I've seen one wreck in NASCAR 25 that was maybe equivalent to the big one, where it was at a super speedway where a guy just started and he caught a couple cars. And they kind of slid off. But I'd like to see the big one more often. Like, I'd like to see that guy gets sideways in front of 8 or 9 cars and they're going everywhere and you're trying to to get around everybody. That's fun. That's exciting. This is not what I want to see. This right here. There's one car looping it off the track. Not exciting. What did I just do? I don't know what I just did. This is what I want to see. 4 or 5 cars spinning out in front of the field. People going down to the apron. People going high, trying to get around. Hit the gas, hit the brakes. That's exciting. That's NASCAR. I mean, that the one car looping is also NASCAR. To leave that in to an extent, but I don't want to see it for every caution. Like, I feel like that's the only caution I ever see in NASCAR 25 is one guy looping it. Not exciting. Next up on the list, choose cone, more control. There's a lot of jokes when the 25 game came out because in, I guess, scanning the tracks and stuff, the choose cone exists in the game. You can see it on the track. You just don't get to do it. I think it'd be a great idea. You know, they already had the choose cone on the track. Let me choose. I mean, even if it's just I click inside or I click outside. Let me do a choose cone. Let me do myself if I choose the top, you know? If there's a track where the bottom really works and I want to jump 4 spots up because everybody's taking the bottom. Let me go out there and start screaming at the game because I can't get going and I can't get around anybody and I'm watching the inside line fly by me. It's more strategy. It adds more to the race. In that scenario where I was talking about earlier where you really, really want that caution. You wait and you finally get that caution. Where are you going to choose now? Now you start thinking about that. It adds that to it. Then you choose the wrong spot. You've been waiting for this caution. You finally got it, and then you're going the wrong way. More control on cautions in pit road would be cool, too. Pit road, I think, is the last thing in this that I would want. Pit road's fine if you just have to get down to speed. It takes control and you drive in. I'm not crazy about that, but the caution thing is one where I'd really like the ability, you know, if you have those better wrecks, if you have that stuff, the ability to have to, like, dive to the grass and try and hold onto the car while you're trying to get away from a wreck, or the idea that you're either hitting the brakes or hitting the gas and you're just trying not to get in it while there's cars spinning down in front of you. That's exciting. Some of the best challenges from the Heat games were the ones where there's cars spinning everywhere and you're just trying to get through it. And you're watching cars go right behind you or right in front of you and you're just missing them. That's exciting. Put that in the game. Let me continue to drive the car. Just like this. Christopher Bell spins it out. Let me keep driving. Don't throw a caution there. Because you throw a caution there, it takes control, and then the AI, for no reason, just turns left and drives you right down into the pit wall. Let me save it. Let me jump it through the grass trying to save it. That's exciting. That's what I want to see. Next up, mechanical failures and DNFs. DNFs for sure should be in the game. And all damage should not be repairable, in my opinion. I have never liked the thing in NASCAR games where you rip down into a corner, you spin out, you go head first into a wall, your front's all crumpled up, you come down pit lane, and then you drive a new car off pit lane. It's not how NASCAR works. Never been a thing. I think before, when they had the damaged vehicle policy, they had the ultimate way to do different pit stops where things work, where they have an amount of time, and you can just go down into pit road and go, I want to change the toe link, or I want to tape up the car, and it says you have 6 minutes. That'll take 3 minutes. This will take 2 minutes. So you can't do everything because you don't have all the time. I think there should be things in the game where you damage the aero and you can't get the aero back to 100%, where you damage the engine in some way, you overheat it a little bit, or something happens, you gotta come pull the tape off. Maybe you're down on power a little bit for the rest of the race. All the damage should not be, fixable in the game. Big wreck should mean you're done. I mean, the example I talked about where you spin out and you go head first into a wall, you pull a Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell, you have the hardest modern crash in NASCAR. You shouldn't be racing anymore. Like, that should be it. You make that big of a mistake, I think you should be done. You should get no points, or you should get the bare minimum amount of points, or in the case of stage racing, maybe you got 15 points in the stages and then you wreck it. Good job for you for getting 15, but you're not getting a ton for the rest of the race. I think there should be DNFs. I think it happened in, was it Heat 4 and 5 that had DNFs, or maybe just Heat 5? But just that, the emotional kind of thing where you're coming off a corner, and maybe even if it's a spin by yourself, you're trying to save it, you're seeing this wall hit, and you just slam this wall and it just says DNF on the screen, and you're just like, oh. I think it adds to that dynamic of the racing where maybe you're in a championship fight and you're barely winning by a couple points, and you just push it too hard and you DNF, and now you're 20 points, 30 points behind somebody. That adds that dynamic to the game. And I think it should happen for the computer cars too. Like I was talking earlier where maybe Sawalch can have a cold day and qualify 15th. Well, maybe Sawalch has a bad day and he gets hooked up into the wall. And then you have that ability to make all those points up on him. There's, you have one bad race in some of these series in the current game. And when it's a guy that finishes top 5, top 10 every time, you don't ever get that chance to make that chunk of points back up on him. If they now and again had a DNF, then that's your opportunity to make that back up on them. And I know they had the different driver ratings for all the drivers. I don't know if consistency was one of the, I don't remember what all this stuff was. I know they had one for each style of track, but that could be worked into the driver rating where it's, somebody like Kyle Larson maybe DNFs a little bit more than somebody like, I don't know who doesn't DNF. Blaney DNF'd 1,000 times last season. Hated it. He hasn't done many this season. But a guy maybe like a Hocevar or a Larson or a Chastain who runs a little bit harder, maybe they're more prone to the DNFs than somebody else. It's an idea. Tire failures and brake failures, I don't know if it's as big of a thing that I care about in the game, but I mean, if you're looking for something else to throw in, the idea that you go down to into a corner and you just whoosh into the wall, it's an extra thing that you could throw in there. Not a must-have. I want the other two way more than I want this one, but it's a thing. I keep hitting the wrong button. I mean, you don't get this. You get this in the games, but they're going to do that 3 times, and then it's going to look like you've never wrecked before. You don't get that. That's fun. Throw that in there. Throw something like this in there. I mean, even if you add that control for after a wreck and your tire goes down, and you got to try and get back before it blows up and rips half your car off, that's a NASCAR thing. They talk about it all the time. Maybe think about putting that in there. Alright, next up, more story. It's a big one. Number 1 on the list is interviews. Story is a good thing in the game to just add to the idea of making everybody's career a little bit different. I think that's a big thing for games like this where you want to try and make it so it's not fix the car, practice, qualify, race, fix the car, practice, qualify, and it's just that rolling same over and over again. Adding story and adding some dynamic stuff where, I can run a career mode and you can run a career mode and slightly different things happen, and it's a little bit different for both of us because it's kind of a more unique experience for everybody to do it. Interviews, I think, is a cool one. I know I don't even know what NBA game. It was like a 2K12 or 13 or something that I played a lot, where you had interviews and you had, the questions about, oh, you lost that game. It was kind of a blowout. What happened? And you had the option where, you take the blame or you throw it on the team or you try and do a diplomatic answer. The idea that you can have that interview and you can, maybe you wrecked with somebody in the race and they go, what do you think about Hocevar in that last race? And you can go, he sucks. He wrecked me. Awful. And maybe then that changes your rivalry with Hocevar. Maybe he's more of a rival with you because you blamed him for something, or maybe you kind of caused a wreck and they ask you about it and you go, yeah, hand up, that was me. And maybe you wrecked Hocevar in that case, and maybe he likes you a little more because you put your hand up and said, hey, I did it. Or even, something where you go out there and you have an option where you can talk about, how you did in the race, or talk about the team, or like throw in a sponsor or something. You might get more sponsor points or something because you threw in a sponsor's name when you were out there. That'd be a cool thing to add in to just kind of make it different for everybody. I might be the guy that's going to go out there and say, every other driver's at fault and I've never done anything wrong. And that changes how they're going to race me on the track. And that changes how my career might go. Because maybe sponsors might not like me if I'm going around going, you all suck. Or maybe sponsors might like me more if I keep doing that. It's a thing. Personality is another one that would be cool to have, not only for you as a driver, where, you might get the personality of something like the Intimidator, something like where Hurricane Hocevar is right now. The personality of he's wild, he's going to wreck you, he's going to say crazy things out there. Or you might get personality like a Chase Elliott or William Byron, where it's like they don't have as much, that's not as in your face. It's a thing. It's a thing in NASCAR, and they were talking with this last game a lot about how they want to make it as authentic of a NASCAR experience. They want you to feel like you're there. That's part of it. Having personality and how that personality affects other drivers and sponsors and teams and stuff is a big part of it. And I think that adds to that. Everybody's career is a little bit different. More random events could be cool too, More, I know they have like the reputation stuff where you can pick this or that kind of thing in NASCAR 25, and they have the couple Dale Jr. download things that give you the investors or whatever and the super chassis that never breaks. But I think having more events and having them be more random would be cool. I mean, maybe you go through a career mode and you get all the bad ones. You get all the fines and you get all the, oh no, your supplier for whatever went out of business, or you got bad parts in and now you have to buy more, or you tried this thing and you just went a little bit over and you got penalized for it. That'd be cool. But also, like, somebody's investing, or your R&D guy found this crazy new thing that's going to give you this more speed. More things that are random, where it's not everybody's getting the same super chassis and ARCA and investor and trucks, would be a cool thing to add in to just keep that going. This is what I'm talking about with personality and interviews. I mean, what's everybody looking at clips of after races? Stuff like, I just beat your favorite driver. This guy's a hack. All that stuff. That's what they look at after these races. Those are the clips. Put that in there. Let you win. Get to do an interview after. You have a wreck. Get to do an interview after. Even like every time somebody goes to the care center, gets out after a wreck, there's an interview. Add that into the game. That'd be cool. Next up, drive for NASCAR teams. In the current game, you drive for your team, and that's your only shot. There's no signing contracts with teams. I think it'd be cool to have that option to sign with teams. I think it'd be cool to, again, with the every career is going to be different then. Maybe you decide you want to sign with an ARCA team, work your way up, sign with a truck team, sign with the O'Reilly team, sign with a Cup team, and then you decide, well, now I've gone through a career, I've made some money, now I want to start an ARCA team too, right? You could do a Denny Hamlin, you could do a Brad Keselowski, you could do where, you have your own career, and then you also then start owning teams, Back in the day, you had KBM and Brad Keselowski racing down in trucks. They were drivers. They were doing, driving for their teams, but then they also had their own teams. Kevin Harvick had a team down in the lower stuff. Now, Denny Hamlin owns 2311. Brad Keselowski owns part of RFK. Jimmy Johnson owns part of Legacy. He had his career, and now he owns stuff. It'd be cool to have that ability to, decide between, I want to drive for my own team and manage everything, or I just want to drive. I mean, you probably have it where you make less money if you're driving for a NASCAR team. You have it where, maybe they take half or something, but you can kind of build up your bank before you decide to go into ARCA, and then you don't necessarily have to choose to do the build up the team and get better parts as you go. You might have the money to just get good parts to start. Or even, the idea that you run an ARCA for a team, and then after you've run for a team for a season or two, then you do your own team, and you've won a championship for somebody else. Now you want to win one for yourself. That'd be cool too. There you go. Let me race like Brad K. Race then own, or race while I own. This is, these are just from Pat. Oh God, look at that game. The game on the you're right there. Oh God. But this is just stuff from past games where you could sign contracts with teams. Much like the sponsors, let me sign a contract with a team too. And have it tied to the interviews that we were just talking about and the story that we were just talking about, where maybe your reputation through the series means that Hendrick doesn't want to sign you, but Joe Gibbs does, or Penske wants to sign you, or something like that. Or even like if you drove for a team that drove Chevy in O'Reilly, maybe the Chevy teams want you more in Cup than the Ford teams and the Toyota teams. More story, more replayability, more uniqueness to your own career. That's what I'm looking for in the new game. Part-time seasons, I think, is maybe the thing I want the most for a career mode, like, big improvement. The DNFs or retirements and stuff will help with that too, but like just the idea that if I'm running in ARCA, and even I'm doing this right now in my 25 career mode with the Xfinity series, even though it's not in the game, because it's something I want, and it's something I want the ability to do. Let me, if I'm running ARCA and I want to move up to trucks, let me go up to trucks and run a 10-race season. Let me have, let me not race every race, but maybe every other race, so I have 2 weeks to work on my truck before I need it again. So that I can, run around in the races that I think I can be competitive in and start to build up. I'm about to sneeze. Hold on. Thank you. But let me go in there and ease into a new series. We've seen in NASCAR 25, if you have the low-level parts, especially because I play on the highest difficulty, it's just so hard to compete. Which is fair. That's a real thing. If you're getting shitty parts and you're going up against a Team Penske, you're not going to compete with them. But at the same time, I don't want to have to run every race of a season with shit parts if I want to run 5 and have the ability to earn more money. Let me just run those 5 races. Even like, if I'm moving to trucks, but I still want to run a couple ARCA races. Let me run a few. Let me do the bushwhacking. Let me go down and do a part-time. I didn't even know that was the next thing. Do a little bushwhacking, Let me go through and get into Cup, but still run a handful of truck races and a handful of Xfinity races. I don't necessarily have to run the whole season. And in this game, if you can do the part-time seasons, don't limit me to 2 series. Let me run all 4 series at the same time. But continue to have the travel restrictions, If I'm running Cup and I'm running Xfinity, I'm running trucks and I'm running ARCA, I can't run an ARCA race at Lime Rock while Cup is at Echo Park, which I think is something in the current game. I think that's where the 2 races line up. Don't give me the option to run everything all at once if they're in different spots. But give me the option, if they're in the same spot, let me run 3. Let me do the sweep. Like I said, if I have bad parts or I don't have as many mechanics as I might want, we see that right now with my career in the Xfinity series. I'm more focused on the trucks. We don't always have the work points to work on our cars. Give me the time where, if I want to run Daytona, and then the next thing I want to run is the 5th race of the season, give me 4 weeks to work on my car and get it ready for that race. Let me circle the races I think I can compete in. Do this work over the 4 weeks to be ready for that one race. Get me excited. Let me win. Don't let me into the playoffs. That's not how that works. Don't even give me points. Make me pick the series I want. The points, you can only run for a championship in one season. That's fine. But let me run the other stuff. That's a real NASCAR thing. That happens right now, There's guys that run Xfinity that aren't running for the championship. You have to declare where you want your points to go for a championship. Make me do that in the game. Give me that beginning of the season thing. Say, which series do you want to compete for a championship in? I'll pick that series, and then you go, do you want to run these other series? How many races do you want to run? And it also gives you the option, if you can run for NASCAR teams, to sign a part-time contract with them too. It happens in NASCAR 25 already where, the one truck in the game, there's 5 different guys that drive that truck. The 07, the 7, there's a bunch of different people that drive that one truck. It's a thing in NASCAR. Corey Hines has driven 5 different trucks or something this season in real life trucks. Let me sign those little contracts. That'd be cool. I think that would add, again, to my career is different than your career, because maybe I ran 2 seasons of ARCA, and then I ran a 3rd season ARCA, but I ran 8 races in trucks. And those 8 races might be different than the 8 races you wanted to run. And then, there's that divergence. It's not the same thing over and over again. This is, rest in peace, Kyle Busch is the best example of this, where he leads the truck series. He leads the now O'Reilly series. He wins because he's just his whole career done a couple races a year in all those series over and over. And he wins and he wins and he wins. Let me go race after his records, Let me get the chance to race down and do the bushwhacking while I'm up in Cup. And not have to run a full Xfinity season when I don't really want to. Like, I want to run 8 Xfinity races. Make it real to NASCAR rules right now, where if you are a Cup driver, you can't run every Xfinity race. It's not allowed. There's rules against it. But you can run some. Let me run some. Here's another example. Beard Motorsports. How many times have you heard about the one full-time employee at Beard Motorsports? Because they show up for every super speedway. And they have their one full-time employee from Michigan. Beard Motorsports. That'd be cool. If I don't ever want to actually race Cup, but I want to do a Junior Motorsports, I want to do a Beard Motorsports where I run a race at the Daytona 500. Let me do it. It's a real life thing that happens. Let me do it in the game. My number one thing that I want to see in this game. Burnouts, baby. The excitement of winning a race, especially when you're playing on the hardest difficulty, it's a slog sometimes to get through that race. You're fighting the truck, you're fighting the Xfinity car around the track, you're half sideways trying to get to the end because your tires are worn out. You win that race and it goes, oh, you won. Here's a little clip of you going out of the car. It's not exciting. This is exciting. When they did the Heat trailer, where it was just like rock music and a car going, that was awesome. This is what I want. And even to add in, the big thing in a lot of games now is emotes. Maybe that's gone. I don't know. I don't know anything about games that are current and with the people. But like here, Keselowski with the flag, or the championship flag for the 9 there. Even, again, rest in peace, the Kyle Busch bow. Hocevar just had the sit on the outside of the car and drive it around thing. That's big in NASCAR. That's the stuff that people clip, right? Maybe you put emotes of some sort in the game. Maybe you do something. The Polish victory lap is a thing. I did that all the time in the Heat games after I won, and it just lets you drive around. Do the Polish victory lap. That's the fun stuff. Add that back into the game. I want burnouts. This is my number one thing I want. If they do nothing else but add burnouts, I'll be really upset, but I'll be okay. I won't be okay with it. If they add burnouts, I'll be happy. That's my thing. All right. That is my NASCAR 26 wish list. Now I have some more wishes. The other thing, I didn't mention it, and it's something that I'm insanely surprised has not happened in some sort of update for NASCAR 25. If a guy wrecks, he should not stay in his spot. Put him in the back of the field. All right, we're done with that. That's just an additive there. My future wishes. My wishes for beyond NASCAR 26. First and foremost, don't look at that yet. I don't think we need a NASCAR game every single year. I just kicked that table next to me. Here's why. Or not even here's why. Here's my thought. I liked that they're doing a second year game. I think the first game was get the bones down, get the what's the word? Foundation. That's the word I'm looking for. Put the foundation down and give yourself a chance to make the game well. And then the second year, ideally, hopefully, we'll see, they come back and they go, here's now a kick-ass game. We took the great bones, because they did make a really good, the driving feels pretty damn good in the game. There is like all the foundation for a really good NASCAR game. Now they're going to come out for the second year and go, here's this kick-ass game. We had all these things that we had in our pocket that we didn't put in the last game because it was going to take us a while. Here's the big boom, yeah, big NASCAR game. We're good. Now, don't make a third year of the game. Take 2 years and make some awesome, super crazy, amazing changes to it. Come out with a kick-ass game in 2028. Don't necessarily have to make a game in 2027. For sure, do an update, and with the update, maybe make one big change, right? But don't necessarily try to completely build a new game every season, every year, because then you start getting into like the Madden thing, where they change one little thing and they come out with the new game every year, and they're going, look at this, we did it. The quarterbacks take an extra step now, and they have a different physics where they show their ass to the other team or something when they go through. Don't do that, please. I don't need a NASCAR game every year. As long as you give me an update that has the new drivers, the new tracks, all that stuff, and you give me, maybe one thing, if they kind of off year, or it's like, we slightly improved these physics, or we changed the handling a little bit. We just did a little something, we add an update to the game, and we move on with our lives till the next year when they come out with the big new game. Woo! And you could even, especially if they do a good job with the IndyCar game this year, you could do it where they're, alternated, where every even year is the new NASCAR game, every odd year is the new IndyCar game, and just give us kick-ass games every year, but switch which series it is, and then in the other series, update the rosters, update the tracks, do an update to handling or something. So I don't necessarily need to see every year a new game. Alright, with that aside, here's the things in the future that I'd like to see come into the game. Not necessarily for this one, but eventually in the future. More tracks and series. If this new game comes out and it's ARCA Trucks, O'Reilly, and Cup, I'll be super happy if they build the experience up way more than it is now. But in the future, give me ARCA East and West, give me the modifieds, give me more of that NASCAR tree, where I have now, instead of 4 series that maybe I run a couple seasons in each of them and I run for 8 seasons, give me 6 series. That gives me 12 seasons if I run 2 in every one. That again, changes that uniqueness of the career to change the way you go. Or even, if you do that, but you're able then to skip series. There's guys that just pop up in the Xfinity series and then go to Cup, or guys that go straight from truck to Cup. That'd be cool too eventually if you have more series in. There's ARCA East West, modifieds. Make something up. Who cares? They did the Extreme Dirt Tour in Heat. Make something up if you want. Some of the like most iconic NASCAR tracks from games are the like made up like fantasy tracks. Make up a series. I don't care. Give me more. More team building would be cool. The idea that like when you maybe leave ARCA and you go to trucks, the idea that you can hire somebody to continue to drive your ARCA car would be a really cool addition. As it is right now, like in our career mode in NASCAR 25, we were ARCA, then we were ARCA on trucks, and then we moved to Xfinity, and we now have trucks. And the ARCA car's still there, but it's just sitting there and nothing's happening with it. I put all that time into that car. Let me hire somebody else to run that car while I run trucks or Xfinity. Or if I can do the part-time stuff, let me run 4 races in ARCA and let them run the other 15. Let me run half the races in trucks, but put somebody else in the truck for the other half. It gives me more money. Like, you don't have to make it like crazy where it's just printing money for you because somebody else is driving the car. Maybe you probably only get like half of the whatever they win in that case, so you're not super boosting, but it's an extra little bit of money. And it'd be cool to have more of that story where, you know, I hired this guy and I put him in my ARCA car, and then as I moved up, I moved into my truck, and I moved into my Xfinity car, and I moved into my Cup car, and now he's a Cup Series champion, and I built this guy's career. That'd be cool. Hire drivers, first thing I said. More than one car would be cool too. If I'm running an ARCA and I run a season and I go, well, I've got a little bit of money, I don't necessarily want to go to the trucks yet. Maybe I got 2 cars and I hire somebody for that other car. Then I got a teammate on the track. And then there's something else. If I'm at a plate track and my teammate's pushing me, or I can push my teammate to a win, and then the team still gets a win, and I feel good about myself for helping my teammate out. That's a cool idea. Custom schedules, custom point systems. That's another one. I'll go back to not as old of NBA games, but the newer NBA games. Something with the franchise mode or the career. I don't know what it is. I haven't played it. I've just seen videos of it. But there's this thing where the rules can change as you go season to season, which is a really cool idea, and I love it. And for NASCAR specifically, think about the last 5-10 years of NASCAR. How much have the schedules and the rules in NASCAR changed in the last 5 or 10 years? All the time. I mean, we're going from this year, or last year where we had the playoffs, to this year where we have the chase. We're going, I mean, every year the schedule is changing at this point. It's, you know, that little bit of a difference every season. It'd be cool in your career mode if that was a thing too. If that was a thing where, you know, either the teams get to vote on it or NASCAR just says, hey, guess what? You know, right now we're running the chase system. Next year we're going to full season points. Next year we're going back to the playoffs. You know, next year we're changing the points up to put all like the old point systems in it, and just maybe randomly throughout the career they decide to change the format, or they decide to change the schedule. Put, you know, the Chicago street race, that track's already in the game. They have that track now. They're not racing at it next year for 2027, but they're not racing at it this year. I think they are racing at it. I don't know. See, it's so confusing that things are changing so much. But, you know, if there's a season where they're not necessarily racing at it, maybe they're not racing in San Diego next year, put the track in the game, leave it there, and maybe that's a change that happens through the career. Oh, guess what? Instead of doing this race, we're going to throw San Diego back in there. We're going to throw Chicago. Or the Roval is going away, right? Roval's gone away. Leave the Roval in there. They already have the track in the game. If you can get it, put Mosport in the game. Put something like Road America in the game. Put Portland already is in the game, but not in the career yet, so I assume the next one it will be. But Kentucky, you know, Chicagoland will be back in since they're racing there now. But get all these old tracks, put them in the game. Maybe the Indy Road Course or the Daytona Road Course too. And then have that where, you know, it's announced halfway through the season that next season the schedule is changing, or the point system's changing, or even stage racing. Maybe there is stage racing, or there isn't stage racing, or is still stage racing, but there won't be cautions. Like, add all that cool stuff in eventually where the rules could change. And give the players the option if they just want to run a season mode or what they want to run a career and they want to lock in different rules. Let them do that too. Old tracks. I'd take fantasy tracks. I don't care. It's a fun track to race at. Throw it in there. Let me be dumb and run the playoffs. Season-long championship. They're all things that get talked about in NASCAR right now. It'd be cool to see them in the game. That's it. That's what I want to see now in NASCAR 26 and in the future. There you go. Thumbs up. Mind blown from Bubba. What do you think? It's your move, iRacing. The cover is supposed to come out tonight in San Diego. I kicked the table again. That's it. That's what I want to see in new NASCAR games. What do you guys want to see? Let me know down in the comments. Any of my ideas you liked, any of them you didn't like. What's something that I didn't say that you want to see? Let me know. I'm excited to see this cover. I'm excited to play the new game. I still really enjoy playing the old game. That's that. That's my thoughts. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Peace.